we are going to have a bit of a grinder here with Peach Puff in Winners Finals.
Yeah, I spent a long time since I commentated Peach Puff. You know, they usually keep this kind of stuff off stream, but if you make it to Winners Finals, you can't help it.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do when the best two players both play Peach and Puff. I want to say these two actually go back and forth in sets, despite the perceived matchup of Puff absolutely dominating Peach. I want to say Dawson versus Bbatts in particular. Bbatts does pretty well.
That's the vibe I've gotten from the way they were talking to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it dropped on the platform instead of getting the second aerial.
Man, unfortunate. Only getting the nair there, but still very little percent taken.
Yeah, I mean, I think the narrative has changed for Peach Puff a little bit, right? Like, all the Peaches, and I agree, will still tell you it's very much Puff favored, but it's not as impossible as once thought, right?
Right. The visionary law did show us that it's possible.
Yeah.
At the highest level. And, I mean, yeah, I think Bbatts in particular is one of those players that I just don't think, like, that type of matchup will get in his head, you know? I don't think the mental pressure of playing Peach Puff is going to weigh particularly hard in this case.
The Toad worked.
The Toad.
We love seeing the little guy. The up air trade is a good idea.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things in this matchup is, as Puff, you really need to avoid that sort of spot when you're, above 100%. You don't want to float right above Peach hardly ever. You kind of want to make it look like you're going to, so that they jump and whiff. But in the same way, a lot of the other matchups you see where they will try to bait someone to make a read on the ground, you do that to Peach in the air. You make it look like you're going to jump over, then you just pull away with Puff's great air acceleration.
Right. All right, Dawson doing a decent amount of percent here. Not quite able to get the stock yet, but...
Dawson kicked him in the back of the head. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Peach went flying. Yeah, it was like, when you think about what's happening, like, boop! It just explodes off the side.
Yeah, Bbatts losing that stock to a little bit of an ambitious turn-up pull there, but still a little bit of a lead on the Peach side here. Nice aerial strings. Bbatts has been doing a few of these now with these just low float cancel aerial strings and got him a decent amount of percent.
I think it's important because, like most matchups, I mean, maybe even more so than most matchups, it's on Peach to decide whether Puff... And this is not one of those matchups where Puff is just going to fly away. Puff is going to be putting hitboxes all over the place, above you, around you, etc. And your call is whether it's going to be close to the ground or much higher up in the air. And Peach, more than most others, has to really commit and read. Are they going way above? And then if so, maybe you'll try that full up air or something. Or do you need to float and try to use the disjoint of your fair or something else like that?
Right, exactly. And I think Bbatts in particular has been doing the different level float heights with up air to sort of to poke at those different spaces. But
yeah, I mean, the onus, that's one of the reasons this matchup is tough for Peach. The onus is really on her to make a bunch of calls, which is nothing new for Peach mains, right? They do that in a bunch of matchups.
Right. Yeah, and again, see, this lead stacking up a little bit, 58%.
I think that was an actual shield poke.
Wow, that was crazy drift out on the down air there, able to get the kill. Now, all right, Dawson trying to bait something out of shield, but that's not biting.
Gets a bear out of shield for it, too. That's funny. He ran all over the place like a fox main or something.
Yeah, got close to a shield break, but if you don't get the shield break, it doesn't actually do too much for you.
It's actually kind of smart for Bbatts to change to light shield really fast, right?
Yeah, all right, forward throw, not quite going to do it yet.
Little edge guard scenario.
All right, got a little bit of slop there, but the up smash will end up taking it. Yeah. Still a whole stock and a half lead, essentially.
I think that's 3 Toads in the first game, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. That seems to be a favorite option here.
All right, yeah.
Off the ledge in particular.
Yeah, in particular, trying to get that zoning back air from Puff to scout Peach's bad ledge. But right there, up air read. Yeah. I'll just do it for game 1. Solid JB3 stock.
Yeah, I mean, then Bbatts made that call over and over again of Dawson trying to float over. Even, I guess it's the one you want to make when they're at high percent, because if they do the other thing and they just go, if you have stage position, the other thing is just going short in front of Peach and probing them with back air. And at that percent, that's one hit. If you guess wrong, if you get the up air correct, they die, right? So it's good risk reward.
Yeah, and we got a stitch in play here.
Yeah, and not just throwing it. I like that.
Insane aggression from Bbatts, just completely willing to just float and use and commit resources to getting these edge guards, and it's really paying off.
Oh, catches the turnip and throws it back up again. I like a little bit of turnip play. Bbatts has been pretty good at that today, right? Did a couple turnip edge guards versus you earlier too, I remember.
Right, yeah. Edge guards in general have been very strong, and even seeming to be able to make the adaptation between edge guarding Puff and edge guarding Fox, and these are just these high-level player traits that we know and love.
When I'll be honest, I don't fully understand how Law did what he did. Because when I picture what Peach wants to do in the matchup, it looks a lot more like this. You know what I mean? Bbatts, I think, is just the style of player in most matchups, right? Where he'll sort of be in your face more so than some other Peaches. And I think that works versus Puff pretty well.
I agree. Yeah, Dawson seems to be having a lot of trouble establishing just any sort of real comfortable space here. Like these back airs that are trying to scout Peach's bad ledge play, just getting hit by the Toad. Yeah, Bbatts just pressing forward on these edge guards as well.
The emphasis has really been on gain stage control, try to get an up air. That's been most of it.
Right. Yeah, and then just Nair out of counter hit Nair there, taking the second stock. It's looking rough.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm just trying to think about what Dawson's been up to, because he's been floating over quite a bit. Dawson's kind of been, so right now, not what I sort of was seeing from Dawson. Lots of moves, tons and tons of moves. Dawson's actually going a little bit of empty space before, but it looks like having suddenly switched styles, it worked out pretty well that stock at least.
Yeah, secures the stock there. One thing I've been noticing, it's happened about twice now, I want to say. Dawson's been doing these like rests and scramble situations. Neither of them have hit yet. Yeah. But if we see those start to hit,
game breaker, right?
Yeah, that'll be an absolute huge.
You ever play NFL Street?
Yes.
You know NFL Street 2 where they have the game breaker?
Wow.
Not many people love that.
I don't think I played that game in like 16 years.
I don't know why that came in. Oh, because I said game breaker, that's why it came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, soundtrack for that game, am I right? A little MOP? They don't make them like that anymore. Yeah. If that game came back today, I bet it'd do pretty well.
Honestly, yeah. I feel it'd be a good change of pace from like
just Madden.
Yeah, I feel like sports games have been pretty stale recently.
Well, there's some arcade ones. Like, there's a baseball game, right? What's it called? Super Mega Baseball or something?
I know which one you're talking about. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I think it's Super Mega Baseball. And then, like, the show is also a little bit more arcadey. Arcade sports games where it's at.
Yeah, all right. Let's see more. Yeah, these full hops is I feel like the main thing for me.
Yeah, trying to probe around Bbatts a lot of the times is just like sort of waiting for a moment, and I think it's kind of reacting to the way that Dawson postures around him when he's like still on the ground. Like, look, see, he like waited to see what was happening, and when he saw the jump, was like, oh, well, maybe it'll be. I mean, in that case, it was a float forward nair, but there was a like sort of a not exactly a dead zone, but like only a drill commit or something would have hit Bbatts there, and Bbatts can win a trade with up air, right, against a single drill. So I think there's actually been kind of like stutter step from Peach in a few moments here.
Yeah, and especially like Bbatts has been doing a really good job with these float cancel low aerials that have been netting those like okay,
falls off the
that
edge.
Was almost insane, but edge canceling rest does not stop you from being asleep, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be so menacing.
Oh, I saw something new today. I'm gonna tell the stream what I saw today. There was it was a Fox Puff friendly. They were on Dreamland. The Puff missed a rest, like underneath the platform on the side. The Fox is like, all right, I'm right here. I'm gonna laser them a bunch. Wispy Wood started blowing, and the Fox fell off. And
oh no! I'm just
funny.
lasering off stage.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Speaking of Wispy, we got Dreamland here for this game 3.
That's what made me think of it.
Yeah. All right, looking a little bit more even at least to start things off here, but obviously we still got a long time to go.
You know what? In Marth Peach, for example, a lot of the punish game for Marth versus Peach comes down to sort of like using your moves to check if the Peach is like going to try to enter your zone of control. And that's sort of the way Bbatts plays the punish game here, like putting out that up air just in case Puff floats low enough, but is safe and will fast fall afterwards, and then is able to still hold the center stage no matter what. And this is the sort of position like where if Bbatts doesn't have stage position, would not be willing to go for like that back air read, for example. But because he did have stage position, is more comfortable. Because if you're in the corner, all of a sudden a back air from Puff is death, not like one hit. So the emphasis on earning the stage is, it's been important all set, and it continues to be important.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and all right, Dawson hanging on here. Looks like not okay. Yeah, just getting hit by these fares. I feel like in a lot of situations where he's trying to just get an extra hit out.
From a macro perspective, I wonder if, and I'm not a Puff player. That's one of my weaker characters. I wonder if, because you can just sort of like fly around, I sort of wonder if like if you're cornered and you want Peach to be trying to make those hard calls, do you just like jump up to the top plat and then try to find your way back toward the middle again so that Peach has to take a big risk?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, maybe that's the reason Dawson's not doing it is because Bbatts was getting reads on float over before. I was thinking like you just totally disengage, but yeah, it's just something I'm thinking about. You let me know, Puff mates.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we had like Cat here, you could tell us or something. I don't know how many Puffs are here besides Dawson today. But
back air above Peach. Yeah, so trying to read that up air, I think, still. Or that, up air or nair, that aerial above Bbatts' location.
Yeah, Dawson honestly just having a really hard time getting this kill. Yeah, if Dawson is going to win, it's gonna look rough at this point. We're already past the 2-minute mark and no stocks from Peach yet.
True. It's probably like a rest in there somewhere, right?
Right. And we did see, I think we did see a rest. Well, we saw the rest hit at the end of game too, but that was an SD.
It was an SD rest, so it doesn't count.
Grain of salt.
I mean, there's a world where it only takes a few hits. That only does 9%. Never mind, Puff. Puff mains, your character is kind of bad. 9% on that bat? I thought it was more for some reason.
It might be stale or something.
It feels worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's doing 8 now.
Yeah. See, it's just these counter hit fairs again. I feel like Bbatts is recognizing really well when Dawson is like wanting to drift back and just anticipating it with a drift forward.
I just remembered. I think it does 11 because the strat versus Fox is do 2 of them. They're at 21 and then Pound knocks down.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, so that must be it. Okay, 60% is not bad. This was a big lead up until that stock, right?
Yeah, no,
like,
this is absolutely closer than it has been in the past. We're not seeing too much worse.
And the thing about this matchup is this is one of the few where Peach can really get reversal. Like if you end up off stage, Bbatts is playing center excellently, but you catch him slipping one time, a wall of pain, bunch of back airs carried off the stage, that could be a stock.
Absolutely, and having the top platform to work with here, and just the amount of time it's going to take Peach to get back from a high hit anyways, is going to give Puff the time to set up those back airs.
That said, 71% for Bbatts isn't bad either. Even if Dawson takes the stock right now, that's a pretty huge lead in a matchup like this.
Yeah, and with Dreamland, that up air is probably not going to kill until like 120 or something, but even so, Bbatts has been showing that he's able to get these hits consistently. Oh, and there's Toad again.
Toad works. That's the second time, 2 for 4, right?
I think so, yeah.
50% success rate, which is pretty good. Peach from the ledge, you'll take 2 for 4.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Absolutely, especially when it means that getting hit by that back air is probably death, too.
Yeah, and versus other characters, Peach has other types of call-outs she has to make. It makes sense that Puff will either put out an aerial on that spot and try to catch your ledge option, or wait for you to do some other get-up that could be punished with a delayed one. So Toad makes sense. Suddenly you have a mix-up, right, if you're using Toad sometimes.
Right, absolutely.
Whereas before, they just wait.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Those quote-unquote, not as good, bad options, if you know how to mix them up properly and make the opponent respect the fact that they can come out, really adds just an extra level of complexity.
Those unconventional options that allow for a mix-up with what are good options are becoming more and more common across all characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Foxes recently. They started you hold the Aklo thing where you hold Shine versus Falco Laser, so they have to come in.
Right.
And when you start to think about how that interacts with the rest of the laser mix-ups, you can understand it actually makes the rest of it very real, because they have to either engage or enter a space where you can dash Shine them, as opposed to just lasering far away many times over.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden it forces them, and I think it's the same situation here, where the rest of Peach's ledge kit, which isn't very good,
yeah,
it probably just doesn't function without Toad in this matchup, because they'll just back air anything you do off the ledge.
Right, and yeah, Puff doesn't quite have the Marth level where you can essentially just smash ultimate at ledge trap the Peach, but that just how safely you can poke the get up options is big here. But all right, 2 minutes left on the clock. We got Bbatts with a pretty solid lead, showing that he, again, able to just get this extra percent while Dawson's struggling to get these kills.
So I feel like Bbatts not the type of person who's going to play to time right now.
I doubt it.
It's also still 2 minutes left is kind of a lot. Mm-hmm. I love the sound of bowling.
Yeah, so
we got some live bowlers.
I don't know if that comes through in the mic, but
probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, but we got a bowling alley directly in front of us, so now we got some people throwing the balls.
Yeah, this venue's nasty. Okay, good up air. You know, we're down to last stock.
All right.
We already talked about how reversals are possible for Dawson. It's going to start with center stage or a cheeky rest setup, right? The up tilt rest is something you're looking for. There's the up tilt right there.
Yeah.
It starts to work like surprisingly early versus Peach.
And I think the trick here is just going to be hitting those in situations where Bbatts isn't ready for it, because Bbatts obviously knows that these things are
Nice
possible.
up air find. That's a good find.
First percent possible for kill.